Update on my progress with my Datacenter Builder game that I've been working on. Specifically, I've been focused the past number of weeks on the back-end logic engine that will handle the logic of the game. So let's dive into that. It is a Rust base because I am focused on using Bevy for the development of this. I probably will branch off into other tools for other areas, but we'll get into that when I get to it. For right now, this is just the engine. I'm going to start the engine. There is not much of a UI to this because I haven't built out any of the animations, any of the assets, any of the story, anything like that. Mostly because I'm focused on the engine. I want to make sure that the data center elements work. So we brought the game up, and this is basically what you see. We launch a debug dashboard, and my debug dashboard is basically how I debug this engine and work with it so that I can get it into the state that it needs to be. This isn't actually how the game will look in any way, shape, or form, but like I said, this is an engine or a debug dashboard for me to debug the engine. So a couple of things right off the bat, you can see that I have what's called a chip interface. This is basically the handy assistant that's attached to this game. It is an AI-based assistant, and it is a real AI-based assistant where the back end is actually ran with local models in a RAG-based agentic RAG-based approach in an attempt to try to incorporate some AI functionality into how to play this game and how to use it as an assistant into the game. A lot more to come with chips later on. We'll see how good it goes. If it sticks around, it does. If it doesn't, it becomes more simple, whatever. So basically what you have is a simple layout. You've been given one building, a facility. It's the IT closet. It's a 2x2 with the available option of 2 racks. Now you can, this is the graph representation. You can deploy to any of the 4 racks, but what you will notice is that we also track HVAC and heating and cooling. So we do recommend using a hot-cold aisle approach. You can place it in any of the 4, but once you start hitting certain warning levels, services become unstable. Applications go through their normal temper tantrums, throw out errors. So you want to avoid that. So we're going to just simply click where we want to go, and actions menu comes up. We want to deploy a rack. This rack's going to install, take its time. Early game stages, this stuff goes very quickly. We now have a single rack, and so let's start getting some services going. Right out of the gate, we need to get a WAN connection. WAN connection obviously gets you out to the internet, and to the internet, you need to have customers come in. So we're going to do just a very simple, the only option we have is just a simple low residential DMARC for WAN. Deploy that guy, and now we can see under the rack we have a WAN installed or a WAN router installed. So after that, we're going to skip PDU and HVAC because those aren't available in a closet this size. So we're going to go straight to a closet switch, and we only get an 8-port consumer grade switch out of the gate. So we kind of get to duct tape this network together to hopefully get some apps launched. So now I have a WAN, I have a switch, and let's get some servers. From a server standpoint, home server, tier 1, all right, fine, just some servers laying around the house. So you can tell that you can see here going a little slower that we have power, we have heating, we have basically all of our cost and all of our resources that we're going to use. Each one of these tallies against the individual rack and what its capabilities are. And then inside each one of the racks, it interacts with the rest of the facility, which includes WAN. So for a small facility like this, there's only one WAN provider coming in. It's a residential house. And then you'll notice as we add elements here, you will see the other squares start to adjust in color because of how heating and air works with inside of a real data center environment. So that was one of the things that I really wanted to be a stickler about, is when you're working with bandwidth as a service or bandwidth as a commodity like a service provider does, or power or cooling, all of those things aren't just a simple Boolean number, like it's either 75 watts or it's not. There's They're analog values, and they flow more like gas, especially like power and HVAC. Air flows more like a gas does, obviously. So when you do something in one rack, it affects the racks around you, and that's kind of where I was getting at with all of this. So what we want to do is we want to start throwing some servers at it, but when we do that, we're going to start paying attention to our numbers to make sure that they don't go off the charts. So let's do 3 of them. I just queried 3 or queued 3 up, and that's going to let me process them. I can only do 1 process at a time right now because I'm still at level 1. This is going to, now that I have each one of the servers up, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start browsing what applications I want to deploy on this. Right out of the gate, the first one's it's the most expensive. I'm going to get 150 bucks a month off of a simple batch processing job. Let's deploy it. I'm going to deploy 2 of them to this server. And then as these others come up, I'm going to deploy 2 to each one of those. And the question comes up very quickly, why 2? 3 servers and 2 applications on each server is about as much as this rack is going to be able to handle. Any further and it's going to go south. So this is about capacity that I can get to right now. Let me see. So what I can do, I can also come in here and trigger some failures, but I'm going to wait for the primary one to kick in because there's an initial one to kick in. But what I can come over here to do with chips is I'm going to jump in here. What is my current balance? You can see in the background, this is basically the model doing its thing, and it's going to turn around. Your current balance is 90.25. Perfect. It is slightly off. That must have happened during the transition, but it was the snapshot when all of the game logic was added to the context of this chat interface. So that's one of the things I do is all game logic that happens, all game documentation that's built on top of this is also fed directly into chips. So when this launches or you launch this interface up, it knows exactly how much you have resource-wise, what your inventory looks like, what your data centers are, how much you're earning per hour, all your balance, everything you can do. And so hopefully that is helping players be like, okay, what's my next step so I can reach level 5? And it kind of tells them and helps them down the line. That's kind of my thought process here. But anyways, we got 3 here. We're at level 3. Like I said, if we try to go any more than this, it's gonna burst. So basically, let's see what happened. Dad unknowingly knocked out the router off, or Dad unknowingly knocked the router off the desk and disconnected the home internet. So we are obviously running this infrastructure out of someone's house. There we go. Let's fix it. So what you'll see here is this kind of gets into the DevOps of this whole thing. We have an outage window, and you'll also see that we have tickets and services that are associated. Nope, it's over here. Open tickets. So what happened is the WAN went out, and that instantly let us know, hey, we're having issues. So I can start a work order. What that's going to do is that's going to kick off a task to fix the work. Honestly, there's not much logic around fix the work outside of changing its status and maybe popping out some fun data for players. I really haven't explored how deep I want to take work like that. But what happened is it fixed the issue cleared up in the WAN router, our services came back up. I forgot to point out during those outages how your income, especially for like a WAN outage, you'll drop your complete income. And so that's part of the game, is making sure you're keeping your income up, you're keeping your customers happy, you're keeping your apps healthy, and that's part of it. And so that outage is a scheduled one that's supposed to help us get some XP. We're at level 3. We need to get to 5. Let's see. I did unlock a home lab, so what we'll do is let's slap this bad boy on the house. Let's see. My thought process is this is like going to Home Depot and buying one of those sheds and hooking a generator up to it. So now we have a home lab. Let's swap over to the home lab. Inside this home lab, we need to repeat the exact same thing. Actions, where's my actions menu? Quick actions. So first things first, we want to add a rack. Can't add anything else until we add a rack. Now, what is interesting here, I'm still playing around with this logic as well. Since this is kind of the intro stuff, it's a matter of can they piggyback off the same internet, and can they use same switches across racks? And the answer right now is yes, but you get the consequences that come with that when you know what the consequences are. So we don't need to deploy a WAN, HVAC, PDU, all that stuff's in place. We do need to grab a switch and drop it in there. Make sure you select the right rack. And then after a switch, let's go ahead and throw some servers at it. We still only have our home server. I'm going to do 3 because this is going to tip it and y'all are going to see. So once those finish up, there's server 1. Now I'm going to come over here to services and I'm going to deploy batch services, 2 of them again. My next server should be coming up. Deploy, 2 services going on that guy. And then third server, now this second one should do it. So we see, oh, now we're already starting to see some stuff shutting down. You can see that our WAN capacity is at 72%, which means you're starting to hit the unstable area. It's getting a little congested. Some hardware is not handling it right, yada, yada, yada. But now you're starting to see those. Hopefully, I was supposed to get a bug fixed that would, these continued reboots should trigger a ticket. So I should have a stop in place to pick it up and recognize the reboots. But it might not happen. But we're very close to level 4, so let's ignore those processes rebooting because we're still earning money. So we can ignore those for right now. So we'll come over here to actions, and I want to show you guys, I need to fix that. Come over to actions, and I want to show you some failures. So we have different types of failures we can introduce, and these are really just fun scenarios from real life that I'm coming up with that, you know, I've either experienced or I know people experience or whatever that you would deal with in these situations, just to kind of make it fun and you know, connectable. So I want to trigger a server failure. What that does is come over here. Let me see, none of them over here. Is this back over to this side? Yep, there's my server that's down. So what I can do is I can come over here, I can look at my details about this specific server, and then over here I can start work. Work's gonna queue it, it's gonna turn around, it's gonna start fixing it, and then it's gonna go through. You can even see I can start a repair ticket from here to get into details further down the line with more complex workflows that we can get into. So now we're back up, and now we're at level 4. Level 4 basically means we get a new server. So as a server, I now get the Pro Summer server that gives us additional resources. So what I'm going to do is under quick actions, I am going to delete all 3 servers, get those bad boys out of here, come over here to this closet. Oh, not reset the game. I got to move that button. All right, we're going to get all of those out of there. Come back to this guy and equipment. I want Pro Serves. And come on. Oh, got to pick my closet. There we go. 2, 3. Okay, so 3 get queued up here, and that should take care of us. Now I can come back over to Home Lab. I'm going fast, so I'm not making this video lengthy for you guys. Guys and gals. So got 3 queued up here, and I can go back over here. Here's server 1. Let's start deploying services to it. 1, 2. That's as max as I can get. 1, 2. That's the max I can get. And then 1, 2. Can I squeeze anything else into that guy? Let's see. Nope. Nope. It's not letting me get better. Oh no. Well, this is going to at least get us through one migration of servers in our XP up to level 5, because that's where I can show you where this thing ends right now. So let's switch back up over here. My servers still aren't ready here. I need to deploy them. Servers, purchase, purchase, purchase. I thought I already did that. It's been a long day, so I could have already forgot that as well. Ooh, now we get a heat exceed warning. So we basically added the new servers and they're overheating. So this is not going as good as I wanted it to. All right, we're still kicking around a little money. Let me get some apps going. All we care about is getting to level 5, or we can burn the place down. We'll fix it later. So I want to come to services, WAN services. Let's get a couple going. And now we're at level 5. Another thing I probably could have done is I could have come into my actions and deployed another outage. But nah. So now that we're at level 5, what we introduced is the tech tree. And inside the tech tree is where we can start adding skills. Skills are abilities and new technologies to be able to be applied to the data center in various forms or fashion that either make it easier to manage, that make it more efficient. So one good example is virtualization, which basically allows you to have multiple servers live inside a single server to efficiently share resources. All those different things are services. It's not something a customer would see or use or care about, but as a hosting company, you need them. So basically, if you're building this stuff, you need it. So what we want to do is we can now afford an hypervisor basics. So once we unlock this is now going to give us an additional capacity, and but it's also going to take away more power. So it is a trade-off. They aren't just necessarily just magic wands you can wave over a data center and make it better. The other area there's 2 areas here. Security is one that I'm going to dig into. Once you get into bigger facilities where you can also do multiple WAN infrastructures, or you're exposing your apps through a real provider instead of your home internet, security is going to be an issue. And so diving down that tech tree is going to be interesting. The chips tech tree. So chips is going to be where we kind of push through automation. As we start scaling this and we're deploying racks and racks and racks and then rows and rows and rows of facilities, you want something that can handle the outages. We've just had this video going for however long, and we've already had 2 or 3 outages. So Chip's going to need to pick that up. And so the automation is where Chip's going to go. Chip's going to dive down that realm so he can handle most of the workload. So that is basically the game right now. Like I said, the engine's mostly in place, and now the rest is kind of put in the few things, dive deeper into future technologies in the industry that we can then place in the game as well. And then also add educational elements where people that want to dig deeper into how this stuff really works through chips or through other ways, they can really learn the information and get guidance on where it goes. So that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed it.